Hey folks, it's Jake from Larry Stove Sand Equipment, Parts and Service Manager at the Pleasant View location. We've had a bit of a weird day. I don't know if you guys are well versed in Tennessee weather. Tennessee's got 12 seasons, and right now we're on our first fake winter. We've got some flurries going right now. It's about 29 out. Even in eastern Tennessee, they've gotten full-fledged snow. So it prompted me to give you guys maybe some cold weather tips. I know this type of weather here isn't the norm for you who live up in the north. It's fairly common. You probably know some of these already, but maybe some of you don't. And I just wanted to share some tips that I think might help you get your tractor through the cold weather as best as possible. One thing I really think makes a huge difference, I think people generally forget about, is just treating your fuel. Treating your fuel is really important just to make sure it doesn't gel. These units are all diesel. Diesel, when it gets extremely cold, tends to gel, and if it gels, it won't pull into the engine, and you'll end up with a crank no start situation. You might think there's something wrong with the unit, but realistically, you've got some gelled fuel. Anything you would normally treat a truck with would be perfectly fine, whether you like Hot Shots or Power Service. Anything you could get at your local auto parts store is a great additive to put into the tank of your tractor and make sure the fuel doesn't gel. Now, keep in mind too, when you go to treat your fuel, don't just put it in the tank. Make sure you put it in the proper quantity. You can't really do too much unless you're dumping the whole jug in there for, a CK that only has a 7-gallon tank. Make sure you start it, run it, make sure it pulls through the system so your whole system gets protected. And even in 0-degree weather, your fuel's not going to gel. Another thing I'd like to say is letting it warm up, I think, is greatly overlooked. I know everybody gets in a rush. We like to hop on and get to work right away. With these near freezing temperatures or even freezing temperatures, it's very important to let everything warm up. Your engine oil, your hydraulic fluid, your coolant, everything. Everything should come up to operating temperature. I would say the biggest place you're probably going to notice this the most is with your hydraulics. If you have a hydrostatic transmission or you plan on doing a lot of loader work, in very cold weather, you're going to notice that your functions are going to be sluggish. Your transmission might act like it's hesitating. It's trying to push all that really thick fluid through every little orifice of the unit. And until it gets to the appropriate temperature to run, it's going to be sluggish. So when you go out to start the tractor, really let it idle for 3 to 5 minutes. I know with common emissions systems that are on these units now, get it up to temperature, let it get to where you need it to work. Another thing that could really help, and I think is also overlooked and maybe underestimated. Again, I'm talking to all crowds here, so I'm sure the northerners are a lot more acclimated to this thing, but a block heater goes a long way. Keeping your coolant up to temperature will help with starting the tractor more easily because diesels do run on heat and straight compression. So you could have a lot of compression and lack of heat. That's why you might turn. It might take a little while to fire. It's because as you're turning it, the pistons in the cylinder themselves are actually helping to create heat to get your fuel to detonate. If you have a block heater installed, it keeps your coolant warm, which then keeps the block warm. And it's amazing. And also, those of you who have cab units, it benefits you even more because your coolant is already going to be warmer. So that tractor is probably only going to have to run for maybe a minute or two, and you're going to have heat to keep you warm as you're going to work. One last thing I really want to touch on. In your owner's manual, it does go over this. Depending on where you are in the country, picking the proper weight oil for your unit, I would say is fairly important. If you're in the middle section of the country or south, you could probably get away with a 1540 weight oil. That's pretty standard, and it still gives you some high temperature coverage and some low temperature coverage. For folks up north who might experience more cold than warmth, it might benefit you more to go with maybe a 1030. It'll be slightly thinner, and on those extremely cold days, it's not going to take as long to get to the proper viscosity to work its way through the engine and lubricate everything properly. Now, those were just a couple points I had, things I think that might help you get through the winter. And if you've got any other suggestions, I'd love to hear them. I'm always open to suggestions. Drop comments down below and let me know what other tips you might have to help you get through the winter or get somebody else through the winter that I might not have touched on. And we'll get a good conversation going. Until next time, it's Jake from Larry Stove Sand Equipment in Pleasant View, Tennessee. Like and subscribe and have a wonderful day. Thank you, folks.